Hello and welcome back, runners. It's Coach Joe and
Coach Dean.
we're at Runner's Condo. We're doing something that we haven't done.
Ever. Never.
90 episodes we've published. We just taped this episode and it didn't tape.
Take two.
Take two. We won't attempt to recreate it exactly.
Good.
But
This is gonna. That means it's gonna
actually,
leave out the snide comments.
Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, when I made a crack about Dean.
He's always making fun of me.
I do.
I'm not that old.
It's not that old. But you know what?
What?
We have a great topic, and this is the reason
do.
that we're redoing it, because it was really fun to talk about. And what we were going to talk about, we had one of our readers wrote in, and she had compared herself to the whole field in a triathlon. She said, I was average. Now she's a master's female, and I said, oh, and I should say, she was happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Her point was, well, I was average and that was good. And I said, well, you're kind of selling yourself short because there's a lot of young people, professionals, fast people that are in those results. You actually did much better than that when you consider people of your age. And she was fairly offended by this.
Mm-hmm.
She said, that's like saying, Joe, you're pretty attractive for your age, right? And I said, no. There's actually science here that we can look at when we compare people of different ages.
Right.
Right.
Because the fact is, I hate to say it, this is going to be a big revelation.
Ooh.
Revelation to everyone
Here
out
comes
there.
a revelation.
Revelation. And I hate to burst people's bubble. As we age, we slow.
We get slower.
It's life. And so, fact is, 60-year-old's never going to run as fast as a 40-year-old, as fast as a 30-year-old. This is just life, and we have to cope with that fact. However,
and there's something that we can do with that.
there is
to help
something
us cope.
that is, and I need a lot of coping.
We need a lot of coping. What there is there's things called these age-graded tables. And the age-graded tables are actually kind of useful in helping us compare our performances of one age against another.
Exactly.
Now, they work in a couple of different ways. Let's start with the science of them. Tell us about where they came from and what they do.
Right. So the age-graded tables have been around 30 plus years. And they're a statistical, not true science, they're pseudoscience, they're statistical analysis, where tables have been drawn up and put formulas to, such that all performances from both genders, from all age groups, can be compared and level on a level playing field. And so, not quite, but almost. Basically, think of it as a world record performance would be like 1,000 points, and then it's graded on down from there. And so, for instance, we have percentages of that. Score 850 to 85% of the world record, for instance. And these were most recently updated in about 2006, and it's very extensive. It has to do with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of representative performances to get this normalization of data. It's online. You can get them online at my website. It's rxrunning.com, and just go to the features or whatever and drop-down box, and there's some calculators there. One of them is the WMA age-graded tables. You can put your data in there. It needs age, some time, and some distance, and then it'll give you that percentage. Or you can look at make comparisons to other people along with that.
So there's two different things that you can do with it. One is you could compare your performance today to what your performance would equate to someone at a younger age. And the declines start at age 30, I think. Is right?
30 or 35.
30 or 35.
Yeah, it's in the early 30s. And it does go year by year. It does not go by our age groups, for instance,
right.
For track or whatever.
So you can actually specifically say, well,
32.
I was 40 and I ran 15:50 with this guy. He could compare that to what his time was in college, right? And it will actually show statistically what they would equate to.
Correct.
Right?
So you can compare it to yourself.
Right.
And this is one of the actually healthy ways of using it. You don't even have to compare to others, but you could compare it to yourself on, are you any better or in better shape today as a 45-year-old than you were as a 25-year-old?
Right.
These tables help you do that in an objective fashion without being subjective. Oh, I was so much better back then, or
Right.
oh, I'm doing so much better today. You can do it with these tables.
And in your case, you ran the numbers.
Yes.
41 versus
When I was in
college.
my early 20s.
And how did it come out? Were you about the same, or?
It actually ended up when I was 41 years old. My equivalent time was about 2 seconds faster in 5,000 meters when I was 41 than when I was 23 or 22.
So that's an interesting piece of data.
Very interesting and very
know,
motivational.
And for me, I don't have a lot of great 5K times to compare to, but I know that I'm faster now than I was then. And a lot of that is the years of training, right?
Sure.
And that was something else that's important about that, is that just because you're comparing to some younger age, I mean, you may have years of training or may not in those intervening years. So it's hard to say whether you could have actually done that or not, you know.
Right.
So,
Right.
So there's that comparison point. That's the first thing. But against a time. The other thing is the percentages. And this is, I think, the other important tool is to be able to compare yourself against other performances from people in your age group.
If you
How
look
does
at
that work?
well, if you look at the documentation and some of the write-ups on this, these percentages of this theoretical 1,000-point top performance, they'll go in percentages. So 90%, 80%, 70% on down. And if you're 90% and above, for instance, that would be an international level performance or competitive. 80 to 90 would be national level, and 70 to 80 would be a regional level performer, and maybe 60 to 70 might be that state, city level performer, where you'd be winning basically at those various levels depending on that percentage. So even if you never compete internationally, you know that if you pull off like 91.3%, it's about that 90% range, you're at an international level performance. It's an exceptional performance for you at your age against your peers.
Right, exactly. So this is where that comparison comes in. Coming back to our original topic, which was when our reader looked at that and said, well, I'm average, and I said, well, actually, you're way above average when you consider your age. Am I being nice, or am I slapping her in the face and saying?
But you see, that's great. If we take the table for what they're intended is to try to objectify this, it's a non-emotional thing.
Right.
And if we're not to use them, don't use them. On the other hand, this woman, instead of being at the 50th percentile, she may be at the 78th percentile and actually be rated as a highly regarded regional or state level performer, and for her age. Now, if she doesn't like that qualifier, don't use it. Be an average performer and be satisfied with that.
That's
Great.
fine. Yeah. If it helps you push harder, that's okay. I mean, we wouldn't want to suggest, well, since you're only competing against people in your age group, and your age group's not that great, so slow down. That would be counterproductive. What we are saying though is that, let's be realistic, that we change over time. And someone wrote in one of the comments to this. They said, well, what about people like Mark Allen, some of these older athletes that have been amazing?
Right.
The one that I brought up on our previous taping of this was Halle Gebrselassie, the marathon world record holder, who's close. I think he's
late 30s.
He's
anyway.
late 30s,
yeah.
around 38-ish, still at the world record level. And there's some debate over his actual age. Some people think, based on birth records, that he might actually be a couple years older. He may have been 38 when he set the last world record, which is, it just tells you that it's not necessarily that you slow down. It's that we're just looking at how people do it. A lot of it is based on your training, right? He has continued to train at the world-class level for 20 years, right? More than, he's keeping his fitness up.
And so this is about staying motivated. It's about trying to make comparisons that are apples to apples. I'm as competitive as anyone. And I understand when I toe the starting line that I'm there against everybody else. My goal still, to this day, is to beat everybody. I know I can't, but that's my goal. We're all in the same race. I want to place as good as possible. On the other hand, I also have to be realistic and say, how do these things compare if we were to level things out? And I'll give you one of the uses for it. My high school group has challenged me to a cross-country race this fall.
There you go.
These kids, they're pretty good, and there's a couple of them that might be right down around 16 flat. And, let's get real. I'm not running 16 flat anymore. But on the age-graded tables, we've got a competitive thing. Now, for them, they have to beat me by a certain amount,
right,
or I've beaten them.
Right. Exactly.
So it's kind of fun to be able to use that to still keep it competitive and know that we're in that same race, but we're still competing with each other. So it's motivational. You can use it that way as opposed to a slap in the face.
Yeah. And that's what it was meant as. So don't take it as a slap in the face. We're proudly masters athletes.
Absolutely.
And we're happy to compete. And we beat a heck of a lot of people. I mean, I typically finish in the top 5 overall in most of the races, so you know, I'm okay with it. But I'm happy to let those 2 young 22-year-olds go.
Yeah. But you're still hunting them down.
I try.
Exactly.
They usually beat me. That's okay. All right. Yeah, they weigh a lot less than me. Ooh. Yeah, they're 18. They weigh like 130 pounds. I was 130 pounds when I was 18. All right, we'll leave it there. End of excuses. We hope you enjoyed this debate, and we'll be back with another topic from Runner's Condo soon.